You described it perfectly. This is like the Vondel experience. Those rooftops, that's what you get when you play Vondel. That's what you think of. Like getting a down, jumping between those rooftops, finishing a guy. Yep. You got all those spiral staircases.
You gotta think about it. It's like,
you have the other to get the thirst? You have the spiral staircases. You have the other buildings with a regular staircase where it's got like that upper floor. Then you go up into essentially an attic, and that leads out onto the roof. You got zips on some of these buildings. Yep. There's a lot going on there, and it's very fun to fight.
We are recording, boys and girls. Okay, yeah, we're good. Welcome to the Dropshot Call of Duty podcast, episode number. What is the episode number we're working with here? 444 is what they're saying. Yeah.
Are you sure?
It's been confirmed. I'm positive.
It's confirmed. Okay.
Absolutely confirmed. Positive. Correct. Yes. Welcome to the show. Today, boys and girls, we are doing what we promised you last time, which is our Resurgence POI tier list part 1 of at least 2, maybe 3 or 4. Probably not 4, probably not even 3. Maybe though. But that, whatever. We're starting now.
It's 2.
We're starting here. Okay. So anyway, what we're going to do today is rank every POI from every Resurgence map ever. And we've done this before for the big map POIs. We broke that up into a couple of episodes as well, because there are a lot of big maps and a lot of POIs. Now, obviously, for Resurgence, the maps are smaller and there are fewer POIs. But this is still going to be at least a 2-parter, because we got 4 maps to go through. Ashika Island, Vondel, Fortune's Keep, and Rebirth Island. Now, when we did this for Big Map, we started with the oldest map, Verdansk, and then went forward in time. In this case, we are not going to do it that way. Because Rebirth is the oldest map, but it's also the current newest map. So instead, what we're going to do is go in order of which was updated last. So we are going to start with the oldest in terms of most recently updated. So that means the order we're going to be doing is Ashika Island, Vondel, Fortune's Keep, and then Rebirth. Because Rebirth has been the most recently updated. That just makes more sense to us and builds a little more hype as well.
Save the best for last, the most popular
Save the best for last. Right. So today our plan is to go through Ashika and Vondel. And many of you probably have not played either of these in quite a while, so just like last time, we're going to start with a little trip down memory lane, though not quite as far back as Verdansk, obviously. Also, we are not live right now. This is a recording. Tanner is out of town at the moment, but by the time you hear this, he'll be out of town. But yeah, anyways, as far as announcements go, we have our Rebirth Island custom Resurgence games for all of our patrons. We got a lot of people who are already coming, or at least that's what they say. If you wanted to come, you could become a patron, and then that's going to be happening next Saturday, a week from today, when you're hearing this, at 5 p.m. Pacific time.
Yes.
Be there and be square. Without further ado, I say, let's get into this sucker.
Yeah, let's get straight into it, I think, man.
Yeah. And then, by the way, I'll also add real quick, next week on Thursday, we will be doing first impressions of season 5. Because right now, season 5 is not out yet when we're recording this, but by the time you're hearing it, it will be out. And we will talk about our first impressions and all of that stuff on Thursday, which is a little different, but it should be fun. So let's get started ranking these Resurgence POIs.
We should say too, thank you, Jakin, for making us another tier list. This was made by him. So yeah, Shout out to Jakin for making this. Thanks, buddy.
And I am Jakin. So
Raz
thank you.
goes by
me.
Jakin. Yes,
That's it's one of my many aliases.
Yeah, that's true.
Is my AKAs.
Yeah.
Is Jakin. So you're welcome.
Good job, man.
Is what I would like to say. So, and when I'm using my alias, by the way, I can't spell. I lose the ability to spell. Normally, I can spell really well, but when I take on the identity of Jakin, I spell Resurgence Resurgance.
You do spell it wrong, huh? Yeah.
Yeah.
You also spelled Suki Castle correctly up here, and then down here it says Yusiki Castle.
Right.
So yeah. I think that was literally he just hit the wrong button on the keyboard because because you play on controller, you're not used to typing on a keyboard, so you misclicked.
Yes,
which happens a lot. Misclicking happens a lot.
Of problems. Yeah, it does. Yeah. So anyway.
Thank you though.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Okay. So Warzone Resurgence POI tier list maker. Let's go. So,
oh boy.
We got S tier, we got A tier, we got B tier, C tier, and D tier. We're going to go through one by one, talk about them, rank them. Now, so Tanner and I are going to have a difference of opinion probably. So we will both be posting our completed tier lists in Discord. If you want to reference them later, you can do that. The one you see on screen is Tanner's tier list. Mine will probably be different. I'm going to rank them by category and within category. So the closer to the left,
I'll do that
the
too.
Better it is
this time. Yeah. Question. Do we want to add another? Do we want to add like D tier also before this last one here?
We want to add D tier.
We want to do that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we hit.
Yeah. Let's.
Whoa.
I messed it up too.
I definitely.
I added it a row above. Yeah.
Add
no.
Below.
Add a row below. There we go. We're gonna make that. I don't know what color we're gonna make that.
Oh shoot! It's just adding them. Okay. Delete. Wait. So what does yours have? What are your letters right now?
Okay, I have SABCD Suki Castle.
Okay, there we go. All right, we're the same then.
Okay, good. Yeah. And by the way, spoiler alert, Suki Castle. Okay, so we'll start with apartments. So when I was making this tier list, one thing I did, there are some POIs here that aren't actually named POIs, or if they are, they're not named on the out of game maps that Call of Duty provides.
Correct.
So like I'm looking at the official Ashika Island TAC map overview with all the named POIs written in. There might be more named POIs that are named in game, but they're not named on this graphic because they're not big enough or something. I don't know. But in a couple cases, I've added POIs that are not technically named, but we, and I would imagine many of you, went there so often that they deserve to be ranked, which I think was a good idea. So thank you to Jakin, which is my alter ego, for doing that. And we're starting right away with one such unnamed POI, apartments.
And we're starting on a high note too, by the way.
We are starting at a high note, yeah. So apartments is, but this should have been a named POI because it's always hot.
One of the hottest spots on Ashika Island. I would say it is, other than farms, honestly, yeah. And it was never named. In fact, two of the named POIs, Shipwreck and Port Ashika, are two of the most dead areas in the map, actually, yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, so we're calling this one apartments. You guys will know it as apartments. I call it Tilted Towers. And then, so this is that whole area. So it's the apartments. And then we're also talking about the power substation right there. So that whole little area is what we're talking about. So southeast of farms, northwest of Castle, in between those two POIs, that area on Ashika Island.
Right.
Which is a great area, by the way. We'll get into it. It's a great area.
Very hot. Very good loot if you land at the actual apartments themselves. Also good loot if you land at the power station. And that power station has that underground a solid rooftop and the underground buy. Exactly, yeah. So the buy is fairly safe. Not quite as safe as it appears because you get pushed a lot in that building.
Yeah, you do.
But if you're not getting pushed, then it's a very safe buy. You're not going to get like, third party really out of it. So that's a really solid building. Hot take, the gunfights in Power suck. I don't like them.
That is a hot take. I love fighting in there. I think it's a great building to fight.
I like being there and fighting people coming to the power station. That's really fun because it's, again, a really strong position. You could be on the top roof. You could be on the short roof off the back. You could be in that second story right before you walk out to the short roof. And then you can shoot into the, like you can see the buy station. So people pushing in on the ground level below you, shooting gallery, you can kill them. And you're in like an awkward spot to be shot back at. It's really good to be in there. And those fights are fun. But if like my whole team is in there and then another team pushes, there are a lot of, what do we call it in the core? Points of egress. And that makes it very chaotic. When you're like all your team's like all in there and then another team pushes you, it's like, all right, one guy came in this door. One guy's coming from the staircase because he entered short roof. One guy's coming from the garage side. And then his friend's also coming from the garage side. And it's like, I'm throwing down an armor box. Lag's AFK feeding his baby. Jake is in castle or something. And like everything's just crazy. I don't know. But anyway, it's a pretty good spot. But fighting in apartments, at apartments, that's kind of hit or miss for me. Sometimes it's fun. Sometimes it's annoying. And there's a lot of like running around and chasing. But that's part of the reason it's good to land there. Because if you're like in a bad spot, you can run away from people for a while and not die, It makes it fairly safe. It's kind of hard to get squad wiped at apartments unless you're really bad. Because it's like you can go down the stairs, you could just jump off of any out of any like patio or whatever. And then you can like skip stairs, you can even jump across buildings. But overall, I quite like this POI. And if you land at apartments or power, you can go to a lot of good places. So like if you land at power, which we usually didn't do, you could look down at apartments and then fly down on top of them if you want, or just start shooting them if they're on the rooftop. And then if you land at apartments, you can go up to power, which we would do very often, or you could scope out farms and then go farms, and you can get there pretty quick. Yeah. And a lot of times you zone people coming from farms too. So I have fond memories of this area, and it's so here's the thing. It's an Ashika Island S tier. I don't think it's a Resurgence S tier though, to be honest. It's not, in fact, actually. It's a good POI. It's an 8. It's a low A for me. So I'm putting it an A.
Yeah. It's so all the reasons you complained about Power Station is actually what I like about it. That's why the fights there are so interesting, because there are so many ways into that building that I think it leads to really interesting fights, because there's the garage, they can come from underground. There are 2 doors aside from garage, 3 doors that they could come in on that same floor. They could land on the roof and come down the staircase. They can jump on the little half roof, and then from that half roof go in through the window, which there are actually 2 windows there that you can get in, and then go up the staircase. That's what I really like about it, actually, is because like every fight feels a lot different there. I think that's really fun in that little area. And like the hearing people is easy because you can generally tell if they're on metal, they're going to be on the railing.
That's true.
If you'll hear them running up outside. If they're outside, you'll hear a different floor sound if they're running up the stairs, for example. So that's actually what I really like about it, is how different all the fights feel. Even fighting outside in that little area, it's fun trying to get away from people. That little hallway underground there where there's that like secret loot room where you have to switch on the levers and you get a bunch of juicy loot. all just great areas. The last times we were playing Ashika, we would almost always land at the actual power station there. Yeah, we weren't landing so much at apartments anymore, but apartments was the drop spot for a long time. And I do like the apartments a lot as well. Fun to fight between them, jump in between them. Only issue I had with apartments ever was with audio. Hard to tell if somebody's above or below you, so it kind of would screw
Audio
you
was
up.
not great.
I would be kind of like
true.
sitting there thinking they're coming up, and then he slides past me and he's coming from above me, really, and that would kind of screw me up. But the actual area is really fun to fight in, so I think yeah, it is really hard because I think it might be an S tier, but also, you know, I think it is, because after just kind of looking through all of these, even the ones we're not going to cover in today's episode, I like this better than almost all of them, so I think I am going S tier for apartments, yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's a take, yeah. That is a take.
I don't know, I think a lot of people would agree. I mean, this was one of the favorite areas on Ashika for sure. Especially power. That became, I think, a lot hotter than apartments was towards the end of it. People really like that area.
It's more central too. That's the thing. Because apartments would be in gas a lot more often than power would. So even if apartments was hot, like that game, they're very often, all those people are forced to go power. That's the next closest thing. So yeah, that's true. Yeah. So, okay. Moving to the next one, and we've just taken a steep nosedive in terms of POI quality with this one. I'm going to be honest with you. Beach Club.
So we're going to have a discussion about this because we need to talk about where Market fits in and the apartment building there. Because that's the issue. So that really should also be its own POI on here. Looking at this now, because it kind of seems more like town center, but it's on the other side of the river, so it's not the beach club though. That's the thing. Labeling it under town center makes more sense looking at it that way, because it's a market. It's obviously part of the town center. It's not part of the beach club at all, but beach club is technically closer, I guess.
Well, the area south of town center, or excuse me, left of town center, is also town
exactly
center.
Yeah, that's all town center, and then right of it is also town center. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, so let's start there. We're gonna have to include market and apartment and beach club, which is gonna take this rating way higher than it otherwise would be. So there it is, you're hearing it now. Beach club, it sucks, but market and apartments is going to raise it. So when you get mad about seeing where we rank it, just remember that.
By apartments, you mean that building to the east?
The one right to the east of Market, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That apartment building, and then the other building south of that, which is like a, whatever that is, some sort of office building.
Drop spot originally.
Yeah, that was the OG Ashika drop spot, which I hate that building, by the way.
It's not good, yeah.
It's not a good building to fight in at all. But Market's really fun.
Beach Club. South of Beach Club. Sounds like I disagree with you pretty hard here. I like Market. I think apartments are okay. That's it. I do not. Everywhere else sucks a lot. The Beach Club itself is miserable.
But that's the thing.
That building sucks
a
lot.
So the actual Beach Club sucks, but Market by itself is a top 3 area to fight on Ashika easily. So that's what pushes it up there.
That's true, but you get harassed really often from apartment rooftop when you're there, and also from the building south of it to not really, actually.
The building south of it died off a lot. Yeah, not many people are there.
So if I'm fighting Market, if I'm at Market and I'm fighting another team at Market, you're correct. Really fun to fight there. Reminds me a lot, actually, of a good number of areas on Urzikstan right now. They have a very similar layout to the Market, actually. Like by the bridge.
Like the other market. Like the Urzikstan market.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess it is.
It is a market.
Think about it.
Yeah.
It's literally a market.
By the stadium.
So, yeah. Anyway. That is a fun area to fight.
That's where they should have put Superstore, by the way.
Well, yeah, we'll get in. We've gotten into that, actually, if you're listening to this. But anyways, yeah, no, Beach Club sucks. Like, Market is cool, but you're not going to find yourself there very often. And again, a lot of times, even in like the best case scenario where you're on the ground fighting someone else on the ground there, you're getting harassed by someone on the apartment roof, and it just ruins all the fun. The Beach Club itself is just miserable. I mean, the rooftop is awkward and you don't want to be up there, but if someone's up there on you, it's just annoying. And then you can, like, the whole west side of the Beach Club where the shore is like, there's nothing there, but if someone's there, it's annoying. There's water that people will dive into, by the way, and that's terrible, obviously. South of Beach Club is one of the worst spots on the map. I hate it there. It's awful. Awkward, bad visibility, but no hard cover at the same time. Very cringe. And then, what is that, like, southeast of Beach Club across the street? What even is that?
Other building?
Oh, that area
That's like the
is...
where it's like under construction.
That area is actually decent.
Yeah.
But it's not great. I'm going to call all of this region Beach Club. Because honestly, I stay away from the whole region. I haven't gone there in a very long time. I don't go there unless I'm forced to. This is a C tier POI for me. And it would be much lower if it were not for the market and the construction area.
It would be D if it wasn't for that. Yeah. So I like the apartment building, like you're saying you get harassed from. Honestly, that's usually not an issue because with people respawning, landing in, people on that roof generally don't last too long. Or if there's a team up there, eventually, if they're actually getting downs on you, they're all going to jump off the roof to come full you. So I don't think that's a huge issue. But
they also look east a lot too.
Yeah,
that's where the hill starts going up toward Castle, and there's a lot of people there usually. So
but fighting inside of that actual building becomes very, very fun because people come up that rappel on the inside. There's the staircase on the outside, and you have these long ass fights there trying to break through. One of the last times I played Ashika, actually, I was playing random fills, and we had like a 3-minute fight in that building with another team, and it was so much fun because you just couldn't get a full on the other guy because you'd push through the building, you'd start throwing thermites and whatnot. Really fun. They're like, they're little rats in the little corners, and then that building also has some juicy little jump spots. You can get on the roof and you jump down on the east, and you can get inside of that window right there, and I think you can do it on the west side as well, but you can jump from the roof and get inside the window right below you to then get inside that floor. So that is very, very fun because nobody ever expects it. They're not going to expect somebody to jump in the window behind them. Yeah. So they're staring at the hallway. You jump in behind them, you down them. That happens a lot. That's a fun little play. So I kind of like all the little outplay well, basically just the outplay potential of that whole building. That building is so much fun to fight. See, when I think of it, I'm not even really thinking of the roof that much. I'm more thinking of fighting inside and around it. So that area and market right there alone, probably for me, actually, yeah, definitely in my top 3 POIs, along with top 3 areas to fight, not necessarily a named POI, on Ashika Island, with the other one being, what we just covered, which was apartments. So for me, yeah, so again, Beach Club is terrible, but we're counting market and apartment in it. So I'm putting this at A tier. And if market and apartment did not exist, this would be D.
Interesting. Yeah. That's kind of the problem with Resurgence maps in general. It's like, it's almost not even Activision's fault, because if they named every, you can't name every building, but that's how Resurgence plays. It plays different than Big Map does. So Big Map, you can easily rank a POI and you just take the good with the bad in the area, but it's very clear it's like a military base. That's a POI. Yeah. And there's going to be barracks. There's also going to be hangars. There's also going to be runways. And it's it all kind of makes sense, conceptually. It's harder to do that, I think, on a Resurgence map. We're probably going to have this problem for all the maps, but yeah, and we just, you guys have heard our rationale, but yeah, I see what you're saying. So, all right, so moving on to the next one, Oganiku Farms.
Oh boy, we're really starting on a high note, and then it's going to take a real deep dive.
Yeah.
Again,
so Farms,
great POI.
Farms is a good POI. Farms, I remember having a, this is one of the POIs I vacillated on. I think very early on, I did not like it. And then kind of like stopped going there for a while. And then I think we went there again and it was really fun. And then I started to appreciate it and enjoy it. And I think one of the things that had happened was we would hot drop there right away. And we didn't really know the map at all. And it was just, I think it was really dead when like Ashika came out at first. Because it's not central and it's pretty flat and like all the buildings are the same height. So people just weren't going there like right away. That's my recollection. I could be wrong, but it was like boring. So then we just kind of stopped going there. But then I think what had happened was we would go there sometimes in the mid game and then people would be there. And then we realized how fun the gunfights were. And then we were like, oh, okay, let's try landing here and hope for gunfights early. And then eventually people would land there. And then it was really fun. This is like a great, unambiguously fun POI. Again, it's pretty flat, which is not the case for most of this map. Especially as you approach Castle, you start getting very hilly. Almost Caldera levels of hilly, which can be good or bad depending on how it's done, obviously.
Yeah.
But it's pretty simple fighting on flat ground, especially when there are buildings there. And there are a ton of buildings at Farms, but they're all basically the same height. Many of them are the exact same shape, and they're like pretty evenly spaced and stuff too. And it's not complicated. It's like a simple, like all the buildings are simple. There's like, you can walk in here or here, and it's one big room. It's like a big greenhouse room. It's like, okay, simple enough. And then there's like the one building that is an also pretty simple building. There's like the side garage door. There's like the main garage. That's it. And then you could like jump in through the back through windows or something. Like, I like that. I like the simplicity of it. I like the simplicity of the buildings. There aren't like a million doors. It's not like those Caldera buildings where everything was built like a not scary farm maze where, oh, how do I get to the second story? You have to go inside this door and then you have to go outside the back on this door. And then you have to run outside and then find an outside staircase that'll take you upstairs. But you can't get upstairs from the inside on the bottom of the first floor. Why? Who builds buildings this way? Are real buildings built this way? Imagine you live in a 2-story house and to go upstairs, you have to walk out of your home and then go up an external staircase to go back into your home. It's insane. Farms buildings are the opposite of that. Very easy, not complicated. And again, I think more importantly, if you're fighting outside the buildings or on top of the buildings, they're also very uniform. They're all like equal height. So if you're on a rooftop, you see everyone else on every other rooftop around you. And that's kind of nice and enjoyable. And there's enough open space. It's like enclosed open space because there's like buildings on the right, buildings on the left, buildings in the back. And then in the middle of all that, pretty open. And there's like some crops that you can see over that are just like planted outside and a couple like boxes. I really enjoy fighting here. I like it for its simplicity. This is an A-tier POI for me.
It's just really good for early game. All because it's like, yeah, it's not like some guy lands on a roof and gets a better ground loot gun than me and then shoots down on top of me. It's just we both get equally bad ground loot guns and we fight each other on a pretty even level is what it feels like.
Yeah.
And then, you can kind of get on the little roofs and whatnot. They don't help you a whole lot, but even doing that's kind of fun, getting on those little roofs, shooting down on somebody, running through. That's fun. The area out to the northwest of farms, so like on the beach basically, where there's like a tower and everything out there. That's got a lot of free loot. It's a cute little regain spot usually because people don't typically hot drop there. So it's kind of like just a regain area basically.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I like that whole area. Farms is a great drop spot. Yeah. I kind of remember it a little different. I feel like Farms was really like one of the first hot drop locations on the map, if I'm not mistaken. Like that was the first spot that everybody was landing was Farms.
You could be right.
It's just always been popular. It's always been a fan favorite. Like you said, just basic, easy to fight there.
Super basic, yeah.
Yeah, just
exactly.
just constant fights of shooting somebody on your same ground level, reloading, and it's, you don't have too many POIs in general like that, so it is kind of nice to have one on the map where it's just all flat, you're on even ground. Yeah. I think that's the best way. Yeah, it's a really good area to fight if you're not the best at the game either. That's
if you're not Giga Dad. Yeah.
If you don't know how to, if you're not smart enough to make those juicy plays. So yeah, Farms for me, that's also going A tier. Yeah.
I don't know if I rank this better or worse than the Apartments / Power POI.
I think I'm ranking it a little bit better just because all of Farms is good. Almost all of Beach Club is bad, except for the areas that are really good. So I'm going to go Farms.
I was talking about Apartments. It's definitely better than Beach Club for me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I think Apartments is a little better because I think it's a better drop spot.
That's the issue with Farms is having to rotate out of it after.
Exactly.
So you get held from Apartments. Yep. Or you start going through Town Center and there are people randomly scattered everywhere.
You for sure get held there too. People love that Town Center roof. So yeah.
So it's a rough rotation out of the POI, but it's really fun to land there and fight.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So all right. Anyways,
here we go.
On from there. Port Ashika.
Oh boy. We blew our load early with the good POIs on Ashika.
The rest of this is not looking super great, I'm going to be honest.
It's a port for sure, which means it's kind of just a disaster. It's a mess.
So
it's scattered out. It's not interesting.
There are those buildings in the northwest are good. I like them.
Northwest or northeast?
Northwest. The northeast ones are okay, but I'm never over there because it's close to shipwreck. Sometimes I'm by the buildings west. And those buildings are not terrible. Usually you're fighting from the southern building, but I don't know. It's a
hangar essentially,
or something, or a hangar. Yeah. Usually you're there and you're fighting a team that's in the building north of you, closer to castle, or vice versa. Those gunfights are okay. They're not good. They're not fun or noteworthy, really. They're just not terrible. They're fine, is what I'm saying. Everything else at Port Ashika sucks. Yeah, it's bad. So we have a corner. We have 20% of the POI is fine, is middling, and then 80% of it is trash, and I don't like it at all. Lots of water, people bailing into it all the time. Lots of rooms in some of those buildings too, and very campable rooms at that. I have died multiple times going into the second story of a building at Port Ashika, and someone's in there. And that doesn't usually happen on Ashika. And if I am getting camped on Ashika in that way, it's by someone in port or by someone in one of the many rooms at Castle. We will get into that. So this is a D tier for me.
Yeah.
Not a good POI, and it's bad. It's also not central. And if you need to rotate into the map, the first place you have to go is Castle. So you're going up a giant hill where it is easy to get held. And I've done it many times. if you're at Castle on the south side and you're zoning people that have to come in from port, see ya. Super free and easy.
Yeah.
You have clear line of sight on them. They, it is very hard for them to get cover to get up to you, and there are many times where they won't have cover getting up to you, and it's free kills basically. Terrible to rotate out of, terrible to fight in. There's lots of water.
Not too many endings there.
Virtually no redeeming qualities.
Maybe a regain spot.
Endings there.
Maybe just a regain spot because people don't really go there. So if you really need loot and stuff, it's a regain spot.
On the east side, I think that's a good regain spot because no one's there. Yeah, because people are going to be at Castle or they're going to be somewhere else, but no one's landing Shipwreck. So if you land on the east side of Port Ashika, you have a couple buildings, probably no one there, and then you can rotate northeast by going around Shipwreck, and no one's there either. So that is a pretty safe regain spot if you need to do it. I agree with that.
Yeah, Port's a D.
So there's one redeeming quality, I guess.
Those hangar buildings and a lot of the other, they're not big hangars, but they're other like almost like barracks or something. A lot of those are very dark inside too, and you kind of lose people in the corners because like the fogginess and poor visibility and skybox on Ashika makes a lot of those things, or a lot of characters blend in to the walls in those big hangars, so that makes those fights unfun.
Yeah,
really bad area.
That's a good point. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
it's because we wouldn't go there often because it sucks. So it's like so
there was one area when we would land Port Ashika, it would be at the southwest corner of it, right where the water is. There were like some little barrack buildings.
Yeah.
So that was always a quick buy because for a while there was a buy station right there outside one of those hangars. And it was a very fast loadout. That was the only decent part about it. But you would just land there to get a fast loadout, and then you'd immediately leave because the area is not fun to fight. You would push like towards Beach Club, like Castle area, if anything. You wouldn't just hang around there and fight because it sucks.
Right. Yeah, it sucks. So anyway, so that's a D. Next is Residential. This is actually one of the few POIs that grew on me pretty much the entire life cycle of Ashika. Like, I never really thought about Residential early on. Wouldn't be there very often. Would never land there. To this day, I've never landed Residential before. This is all the like homes directly north of the castle. But just by like virtue of time passing and having to be there and play there as time goes on, the more you play the match, every time I'm in Residential or around there, I actually really enjoy the fights there. I think it's actually pretty slept on in terms of fun gunfights. Now, I would venture to say it's probably almost certainly not a good drop spot. There is the North Castle complex where people will be, and on the rooftops of that complex where people will be, and they will shoot down on you on Residential. So landing there early would just make looting kind of awkward and not very good, I would imagine. Although again, I've never tried it. But if you are getting shot down at from Castle, super easy to take cover. There's tons of hard cover if you're in Residential. And if you're in Residential and another team's in Residential, those gunfights are actually pretty fun.
Yeah, going in and out of
those
those
little
buildings.
houses they're not complicated. They're very small. And it's like, okay, someone's downstairs or upstairs. It's not like some Byzantine, like, torture device. It's pretty simple. And also, especially what's fun is north of Residential, where that street is. There's like the buildings, and then there's the street, and then there's like a half wall where people or you can be using as like some hard cover that takes some tactics, and you can like maneuver that way. It's actually really fun to fight on that beach north of Residential. I enjoy the gunfights here a lot. I think this is a pretty solid POI, all things considered. I think this is our first B.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking as well. Residential for me maybe provides the most fun end games on Ashika, I would say. You are right.
End games are fun.
Not a good early game spot, in my opinion. Doesn't seem like there's enough loot I don't know. Maybe it's just more because I don't really hot drop there often.
That's my thing. I don't really know.
But
either,
I know a lot of the end games swing out to residential, like around like the gas station on the east side there. So it's fun rotating between those, having to rotate, from gas station to the houses, or use that seawall like you're talking about to rotate into residential. Just feels like a fun little area for it to end. Like Farms is a great POI, doesn't lead to interesting end games though, because it's just everyone, like what we talked about, everyone's on the same flat surface. But for something like an end game, that's not very interesting. It's just a good early game spot. But residential, I think, is good for the opposite. So I'm also going B tier. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. Next is Shipwreck.
Nothing to say. D tier.
Nothing to say and D tier. Yeah. I have nothing to say. It's terrible.
I forget good, that it existed.
Nothing there. Yeah. I can't tell you even what it looks like. I'm looking at a tactical map overview, and I have very vague recollections, maybe, of having been there like once or twice. You're on the lowest elevation. There's not much hardcover. There's no loot. I know that because I've tried looting it once. And there's a lot of water. The gunfights there aren't fun. It's not good to be there. It's not good to regain there. You shouldn't be there for any reason. It's bad. It's uninteresting. Looks like poop also. It's not like aesthetically. It's like a cherry blossom garden with no redeeming qualities. It doesn't even look good. It's gross. It's like coarse, rough sand, dark, inky black water. Cthulhu's on the deep end waiting for you. That's why there are shipwrecks. Terrible POI. Worse than Port Ashika also. No redeeming qualities. 0% of it's good.
I have a suggestion. I think we might need to rename Castle to just F tier. Because Shipwreck needs to be lower than D. And then also, after looking through this, Fortune's Keep is also going to have some F tier POIs that are pretty much as bad as Castle. I think we got to do a rename.
A rename, huh?
I think we got to rename Castle
You
F.
can do a rename. I'm going to add an F tier, and I'm keeping Suki Castle because no POI is even close to as bad as Suki Castle.
Really? You don't think Shipwreck's as bad?
No.
Okay.
No. Not even close, which we will get into.
Okay, I'll just do the same then. So Shipwreck has moved down to F tier. So now we have S, A, B, C, D, F, and Castle. So.
Yes, okay.
That's a lot.
Yeah. It is a lot, but Castle is, for me, Castle is its own it's a cut below the rest. But anyways, is Shipwreck an F? Yeah. If anything's an F, it's Shipwreck. Port Ashika is.
You can't go down there. You can't.
Yeah.
There's no way to get up. You get stuck down there.
You're right. It is a separate category. Yeah. Good point. So, okay.
2 more.
All right. Yeah. So 2 more for Ashika. Next is Town Center. Okay. So Town Center is kind of like Beach Club. It's a mixed bag. So Town Center itself is not terrible, but it's not great.
Mm-hmm.
The rooftop's okay, but it's not really good. It's hard to cinch a kill from the rooftop of Town Center because everywhere you can shoot to, people can get to hardcover pretty easily. And they're usually pretty far, so it's hard for you to get a thirst, in my opinion. And you're not high enough above the ground to dive on people far away from the rooftop of Town Center. So it's not actually a great roof to hold, even though you're hard to kill yourself if you're on that roof. That is something. It also has the UAV tower up there, which has come in really clutch. If you happen to hold this building toward endgame, we have literally won, I can think of like 2 or 3 separate games, because we happened to hold Town Center, and then I popped the UAV tower on the roof for 2K. Won the game that way. But I mean, that's, doesn't happen very often. So that's one thing about it though. But the building to the northwest of it is not good. It's terrible. Don't like it. And then south of Town Center, southwest, it's like you got some space and then you have the waterway. And you're not really going to get kills on people there either. And then across from town center, that is the building that's kind of interesting, with the helipad on the roof. I like that building. I think it's fun to fight in that building.
Yeah, that one's pretty fun.
I think it's fun to fight on that rooftop. I think it's fun to be on that rooftop and shoot northwest. But overall, is it great? Nah. This is like a fine POI. This is the definition of a C tier for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Nothing terrible, nothing great. It's like, okay.
For me, it's primarily a rotation point from farms to market. Two of my favorite areas to fight. You land farms, because when you go farms, one of the things is, as you guys know, if you play there a lot, your loadout will often drop, if you're at farms, your free loadout will drop on the south end, closer to town center, because the loadouts drop further away in Resurgence than they do on Big Map BR. So it's almost at town center at that point. So when I leave farms and go down towards town center to get my free loadout drop, I'm usually not going back up to farms, because that's about the point when the POI dies, when people start getting their loadouts and going elsewhere. So I grab mine and I use town center to rotate through there to go somewhere fun, like market, that area, start rotating up there, because the circle's going to end at castle, so I have to start moving through there. That's my move. But actual like fighting at town center isn't very interesting. Not a whole lot going on. Pretty slow area. I'm just not really a fan in general. I'm gonna go C tier. It's not a terrible POI. There's just nothing good about it, really.
I agree. Yeah. So, and then Suki Castle. So Jakin did me a favor by automatically adding at the very bottom its own category, Suki Castle, and Suki Castle goes in the Suki Castle category, which is below F tier. This is a disaster of a POI. It is awful. And it takes an otherwise decent Resurgence map and makes it significantly worse. Because you can look at almost any Warzone map and you're gonna have a bad POI. We've never had a Warzone map where the worst POI was like a C or higher. That's never happened. You're always going to have a bad POI. Fine. However, in the case of Ashika Island, its worst POI, which is Castle, is literally dead center of the map. I mean, smack in the middle. So you are almost always going to have to either go out of your way to avoid it, because it'll be in zone, because it's dead center, or fight there, because the game ends there, and there's nothing you can do about it, because it's dead center.
Yeah.
If Suki Castle was where Port Ashika was, that Ashika Island, the map, would be better, because then you wouldn't have to deal with this terrible POI as often as you do. And that's one of the reasons this is such a bad POI, is because you always have to deal with it. Mm-hmm. But what is there to say about Castle? I mean, it's surrounded by hills, but then it's like in a valley, which is very weird. So if you're coming up from the south or from the west, then you're going up a really steep hill, and then you're like on a cliff, and then it goes down into like a valley, and that's where the castle's built. So it's very weird. You're like on a cliff, and then you're looking into like the third story of the castle. The castle itself is terrible. The rooftops are awkward, and being on them is like strange, because there are other rooftops you're exposed to, and then the cliffs you can be exposed to. But then also it's really strong if you're shooting down like into the castle complex. So being in the castle complex kind of sucks, because there are a bunch of roofs all around you at a ton of different elevations at weird angles that are impossible to predict where someone could be. And never mind going into the castle. So inside is a disaster.
Terrible layout. So random.
Terrible layout. It's like a bunch of small wooden rooms with a lot of windows on like every level. And the wood there was made by Guitar Center for maximum acoustic resonance. It is the loudest thing you can walk on in Warzone. And there are always people there. So when there are 8 footsteps on this soundstage, you hear people for sure, but that doesn't help. You don't know where they are. You have no idea. You better hope you're on the ground so that if you hear people not on your level, you know they're above you, or you better be on the roof so that when you hear people, you know they're below you. If you're anywhere in the middle of that sandwich, which is a big, thick sandwich, there are a lot of levels, by the way, and a lot of rooftops where you're also hearing people, so you're not sure if they're outside or not, you are going to be lost. You won't know where they are. You won't know if they're below you or above you or outside or not. And the layout is just awkward and weird and extremely campable. All the time, people are camping in there somewhere at a weird angle. And there are rooms in the castle where the visibility is not great. Now, one thing I will say is everything I just said mainly applies to the southern castle complex. So there are 2 separate like complexes, basically like a square castle. There's the big one, which is Southwest Moor. And then there's like the separate complex northeast of that, which is the one that's close to residential. That castle complex, the northeast one, is not nearly as bad. It's not great. It's not my favorite, but it's not that bad. And when you're like outside of it, you can actually reasonably fight people that are inside the buildings there. And it doesn't feel super random or oppressive or like anyone could be anywhere. It's actually fairly predictable gunfights. And those are actually, I would say maybe even decent fights can be had there. But the problem is the southern complex. If you're like on the ground in that southern complex, you're gonna die for sure. There's way too, and there are also buildings on the ground level that have like really big openings or doors that you can get like shot from too, not to mention all the windows and rooftops. It's a real nightmare being outside on the ground inside the southern castle complex. It's terrible. It has no redeeming qualities and it's not fun. And it's not even a good, like, I don't know. I just hate it. I don't know.
The actual castle building is one of the most poorly designed buildings in Warzone history. Yeah. The interior layout is so bad. Then all the different areas on the roof. So if you start fighting somebody up there, the areas they can mantle or jump down and get into cover, it's really bad. It's not a good spot to land. It's not a good spot to rotate through. It's a terrible place for a match to end if it's actually like in the castle. So some of the really fun endings are, I think they're the gun emplacements. Is that what they are to the north of castle? That little area, which is still kind of in like the castle POI,
where the ammo
is a fun little area. Yeah, that's a good little area to fight. But I think of that more with the separate little castle buildings you were talking about, which are actually closer to residential. That area kind of meshes together, but once you get into the actual castle, like inside those walls, that's when it all breaks apart. That's the really, 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 really bad area. So, there's just nothing good about it. I really hate this POI, and it's really funny because a long time ago we had found one of the devs I started following on Twitter who worked for High Moon, and what he always talked about was how proud he was that he was one of the designers on Castle. And I still follow him on Twitter. He doesn't tweet much anymore, but I can't remember his name. But we called him out on the pod one time, and I told everyone his Twitter profile because he designed Castle, and he was proud of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Not to mention, by the way, that underground area, which I forget about because I like never go there.
I try to forget about all of it on Ashika. It doesn't do anything good for the map.
I think we lost a game because there was a team under there and we were above them and we like couldn't find them. And then
Yeah.
I don't know. They had gas mask or something. I don't know if that happened, but I think something like it did. It's like, what? Yeah, what does that add?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hate it. Terrible POI. So that's it for Ashika. So for me, there were 0 S tier POIs, but besides that, actually pretty even. I've got 2 in A, 1 in B, 2 in C, 1, 1, and 1. So pretty even spread of POIs. And honestly, if you were to ask me my general opinion of Ashika, this is how I would imagine I would land. Some of the it's a very mixed bag map for me. There are really fun, cool parts of it, really bad parts of it. In addition, terrible skybox, terrible visibility, ugly. It's an ugly map.
Never updated it, never did anything to it.
And it was very neglected. Yeah. It got like 1 update. And that was it. So, I mean...
Remember how long it took to get the personal supply boxes on?
Yes.
It took like an extra 2 seasons before they added the personal supply boxes to Ashika. They just never touched the map once they released it. Yeah.
Very weird. Yeah. And then the flares, everything that Vondel got, Ashika got none of it. It was like, how did that happen? So anyway, whatever. Moving on. So I'm just not surprised by that. Today's episode is brought to you by our Patreon, where we offer our members all of our episodes early access and ad-free. Starting just $5 a month at the gold tier, patrons also get 3 raw, uncensored Call of Duty bonus episodes every month, in addition to every bonus episode we've ever done in the past, and a unique Discord role as well. This month, we are also doing Resurgence Rebirth Island Customs for all of our patrons on the 25th, Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific time. So now would be a great month as well to join. You could come kill me, kill Tanner in-game, of course, or attempt to. You won't, I'll dunk on you. And you get all the other Patreon goodies, of course, as well, including, once again, the bonus episodes. Our first one this month was Season 4 in Review. Tanner and I spent almost 2 hours in that bonus episode, which just went live, so it's now live for all of our patrons, going through season 4, what we got, what ended up being impactful, what predictions we had that ended up being correct, what ended up not being impactful, and then kind of looking ahead from there. It was actually a really good episode, and a lot of things happened in season 4 that we had kind of forgotten about, and it was actually a really good season in retrospect. So we talked a lot about that, and we went into, obviously, way more detail, but that was a really fun one. And then we got 2 more bonus episodes cooking this month that are going to be pretty different than bonus episodes we've been doing in the past, one of which is going to be probably on something season 5 related, and then another one is going to be a mixed bag episode. So we're going to talk about probably tax stance, if it's good or not, and the smoke meta, and other kind of micro topics all in one. We've never done an episode like that before, and I'm very excited to do it because we're going to be able to cover a lot of ground that way. And those will all be available for all of our patrons. If you wanted even more than that, at $10 a month, you would be a platinum patron, which gets you everything we've talked about, plus 1 Q&A episode where only you guys can ask the questions or hear the answers. And these are Q&A questions where you can ask about any topic, not just gaming. And then the Damascus tier at $20 a month gets you all of that and a behind the scenes episode, a monthly Damascus only patron hangout, and access to the Discord Damascus Lounge. And for this month, we've already recorded our Q&A episode and our behind the scenes episode where I went into a lot of detail about my fun and exciting hospital excursion and some other podcast behind the scenes stuff. So if you joined at Platinum or Damascus, you would get this month's content right away. Did you hate hearing this ad? Do you want to come to the Rebirth Island Customs this month? Then sign up for the Patreon. Let's get back to the show. Now we're moving on to a better map overall, in my opinion, Vondel.
Yeah.
So Vondel is a unique circumstance. It is the most unique Warzone map we will ever, or for the foreseeable future, make a POI tier list out of, because it's not quite a Resurgence map. It's not quite a BR map either, though. It's a giant Resurgence map. And it's got its own player count. Fewer than Big Map, but more than every other Resurgence map. So it occupies a unique little niche that works really well, in my opinion. And It's funny because when Vondel came out, we did a bonus episode talking about how much we hated it. And then, but it was like after a day or two of playing it. And remember, this came out during MW2, so the game was not in a good spot. But then over time, we just totally 180'd on that position. And now I would say Vondel's one of my favorite Resurgence maps ever, because not so much because of the map itself, partially because of the size, but because of its size makes it feel more like BR, but it's still a lot more casual than BR. But you can get like your loadout really easily, more easily than on any other Resurgence map. And then you can play, it's more rotating and stuff and positioning. You have more space and time to do it, and it's more important as well. So you're getting more of those BR aspects, more of that high stakes kind of, or I don't know, big picture kind of strategy gameplay, but without all of the annoying or very more hardcore, I guess, BR aspects. There's no gulag. You still have a resurgence timer and all that stuff. So Vondel's a very unique map because of its size and player count. And I think that has definitely colored my opinion on the map itself. And with that said, let's get into, I just farted, the POIs. So starting with Castle.
Good old Castle. Yeah.
Not starting off super
Not
great.
starting off strong.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. My kind of like immediate thought is the game endings at Castle were fun, but then I sit there and think about it a little bit more, and they actually weren't. It's just it ended there often. But they weren't fun endings, actually. It's a terrible spot to land. For that size of an area, the amount of loot there is definitely the lowest amount of loot on that whole map is in Castle. You really got to search for it. There are not that many chests there at all. So it's not good to land at. You don't go there and fight because it's the corner of the map, so you're never going there mid-game. And the endings suck, and they feel very RNG. If you get stuck on a roof, you have to jump off, or you get the lucky pull and you get to stay on the roof. You just automatically win because some guy can't go anywhere else inside. Not good. Yeah, Castle's really bad.
I don't think it's really bad. I do think it's pretty bad, though. It is of every POI on this map, it is the most different from all the other ones, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like it's almost out of place.
Extremely.
Because like every other POI, there are way more buildings, way more hardcover, way more loot as a result of that. And then Castle's just like this random like plot of land, and not a lot is built there. And then the castle itself does suck a lot. That building sucks. It's not fun to fight in. And it's weird. It's not fun. Yeah, I'm mostly with you. No reason to land there. It's in the corner and there's no loot. So why would you? And then the endings are pretty RNG.
It takes forever to rotate out of it early game as well. Harder to get out.
Yeah.
Nothing around.
I think with all that said, though, it's not that bad to fight at, I don't think. Well,
it's a D.
I think it's a low C for me. It's a low C for me. Okay. Yeah.
It's a D for me, and actually, yeah, it is worse than Port Ashika. Yeah, so it's even lower than that. Yeah, it sucks.
That's crazy. I do not feel that way at all.
Port Ashika is more just like boring and not interesting and has bad visibility. Castle is just actually a really terrible area. There's just nothing good about it. It could almost be F tier, actually.
I think the buildings by the buy and like the gunfights on the like east side that are close to the road can be kind of interesting.
What buy are you talking about? Which buy? The buy on like the north side of Castle, or the one by like right in the middle?
It's like a graveyard, or
that
like
little area. Yeah.
Like that area is like pretty fun to fight at.
That's true. That building's not bad. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So, and because there's the buy there, if you're going to be around the castle POI area, you're probably going to be around that area, or you'll want to be, or someone will want to be. So that being a nice little micro POI there elevates it, I think, above D for me.
Got it.
But overall, it's not very good. I'm totally with you. It's a low C for me. So.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
What's
Moving
next?
on.
Central Station.
Central Station. Okay. You know, the loot here goes crazy. We didn't learn this until pretty late, but the loot here goes bonkers. Although that's pretty much it.
Where are you saying the loot goes bonkers? Just inside, like, first floor of the main,
there's like
building, or the little outside buildings?
It's like a particular little outside building that has really crazy loot. But then if you go into the main building, the loot is good there also. And it's usually not very hot.
Because there's that one little building between Exhibit and Central Station where it usually had like 6 orange chests and like 2 personal supply boxes.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
I guess that's kind of considered Central Station. It's really closer to like Exhibit, but it's on the other side of the water. So it's on the same side of Central Station, but yeah, I don't know. The actual main POI sucks.
Yeah, it kind of. It's not. Let me see. I'm gonna look.
Because it's a giant building, but it's basically just the roof and then the interior, like first floor primarily. Like, yes, there are other areas like getting up to the roof, those little spots through the rappel or staircase, but
yeah.
So this.
Yeah, it's the thing is that. I honestly don't. We didn't go here very much because it's in. Like, the game never ended here. I don't think I had a single ending at Central Station.
I was going to say the opposite.
Like
no, there are a lot of endings here because that would always happen because you would have to jump off the roof or you would get to hold people jumping off the roof. The game ended there quite often, actually. That was going to be the only thing that I said.
You're not thinking of Zoo?
Yes, I'm positive. I know the map layouts. It's Central Station. You would always be on that roof and have to jump off. So you would rotate between either we would be at Mall/City Hall and have to rotate towards Central Station. So we would get like in the water there and hope that it pulled off. And if it pulled off Central Station, then you would just shoot all those people that were forced to jump off, basically. Or a lot of times you would get endings where I remember we had a really crazy ending one time where it was inside Central Station and they had to eventually like jump down and like make gas plays, and the fighting was all in the interior of the building, and that was pretty fun. So unlike Castle, I think that building for me had more interesting fights and a more interesting end game. It felt like more skill was involved in having end games there, the way you had to play it versus Castle. It's like you either had to jump off Castle or you didn't. But Central Station, I felt like had kind of some different paths and different areas on the roof. You could get far out on the roofs. Basically, there was more cover to jump off of it and kind of land in a corner, so you would be safe. You know, throw some smokes, play it out. But the games ended there a lot, actually.
Interesting.
So it was fun for that, in my opinion. That was about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember many games ending there at all. But who does? Oh, Graveyard's its own POI.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, Graveyard's not part of Castle. It's pretty far from Castle, really.
I was thinking of the build. I was thinking of the right thing. The right building.
Yeah, it's not a named thing, but it does. I don't know if it is a graveyard, but it feels like it. I guess it feels like a castle, which feels like a graveyard. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I'm going C for Central Station, by the way.
But yeah, anyway, Central Station. Yeah, I'll put it C as well. It's. For me, it's not even, I don't remember endings there often at all, but I just don't remember being there very often. It's like in the corner of the map. So like we would never land there. So I don't know. It's fine. It's whatever, just very mid. So that's where I'm putting it. Anyway, moving on. City Hall. Wow. City Hall. Let me do a little pull up here. Wait, what the fuck? Oh, I forgot this is a public episode. Oh no.
Yeah, City Hall is another one that this area we didn't go much at all either. So kind of these first ones that we're getting just so happen to all be like the exterior POIs where you don't really go a whole lot and are definitely the more dead areas of Vondel, and that's kind of City Hall as well.
I remember City Hall now, yeah. So the building itself, like the interior of it, I do not like at all. But most of the time when I'm forced to go City Hall, I'm just insta going on that roof.
You're on that roof, yep, exactly.
Yeah, and the roof is actually pretty good because you can hold people coming to you pretty well. But if someone else is on City Hall roof, you're really not in too much danger unless you're trying to get to the building because you're quite high up and you're quite far away from like every other building. So it's not like you're going to get super harassed from the roof of City Hall, but it's also very safe up there because that roof, it's like you can be standing on one of the edges and even there you have a pretty high little ledge to take cover behind. So it's like very hard to get down if you're on the roof. And even if you're at risk of that, you can just go to like the middle roof and it's all like enclosed, like super safe. And there's like some loot up there too. So I think this is okay. It's not like you almost never fight here though. That's the thing.
Are you are you sure you're not thinking of mall? Because kind of the way you're describing, or the way I'm thinking of it as you describe it, is I'm picturing more mall. Because you're saying like you have like cover on the roof, but City Hall,
No.
the roofs are just sloped. There's not like a flat area up there really. There are kind of flat areas, like the little, like those wooden areas. Okay,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
Because I was thinking you meant like how you can jump down and be on the whole flat roof like mall has, and then run around that flat area up there. Okay.
No. Yeah. No. Because also think of City Hall, how you can go like, imagine if you're on the middle of the roof, how it's all like enclosed. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're like, anyway, whatever. Anyways, City Hall is, besides that roof, not much going on for me.
Yeah, it has a castle interior, by the way. It has a Suki castle interior to it. Terrible layout. They're like random apartment buildings. Yeah. With like no windows, and then one of them will randomly have a window or something, I think. I don't know. No, actually, I don't think any of them do have windows. Really weird layout. Extremely underplayed area of the map. But it was just all roof, and you'd be on that roof a lot because, like what I was saying, is there were so many Central Station endings where you'd be on City Hall roof and you'd have to push over to Central Station. That would happen all the time. We'd have to rotate over from there. That's why we played on that roof a lot. That'd be the only reason we were ever really there, because I feel like the actual endings at City Hall did not happen very often at all.
I agree with that.
But yeah, I don't know. It's. Let's take a peek here. Let's see what I have going so far. I guess it's just C as well.
City Hall C for me too, yeah. It's not bad, but it's just there's nothing going on besides that roof. That's like all there is to say about it.
Yeah.
And then there is like the area on the ground on the peripheral of City Hall. The like, what is that? I want to say it's south side. I'm not sure, but there's like a decent little buy there. There can be some fun fights, but those always happen in rotation. Always. You're never like there chilling. I feel like every fight I have on the ground outside City Hall is because everyone has to rotate. Like that's all the gunfights I ever have down there. So yeah, it's a C tier for me. Nothing like super to complain about, but nothing to call home about either, in my opinion. So very mid. Is it better than Castle? Yes. Is it better than Beach Club? No, because of market. So yeah. Okay, got it. Next is Cruise Terminal. Okay.
Another POI on the far edge of the map. Can we like get a different order?
Yeah,
they're in alphabetical order. It just so happens to be once they're on the edge. It's like the same as the other ones. It's on the edge of the map, so it almost doesn't matter. And it's all terrible over there. Cruise terminal is bad. It's a disaster. It's a poor layout.
The spiral to the parking structure?
Nope. That's the opposite side of the map. That's university.
Oh, cruise terminal. Oh,
cruise terminal is where there's a chopper on the roof.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So we would go there sometimes because it's close to stadium, but the actual place, it sucked. Again, like a lot of these, the interior sucks. It's more fun fighting on the roofs, but since it's on the far edge of the map, there's not a whole lot of that going on.
Yeah,
so
cruise terminal was... Yeah.
There also weren't too many game endings there from what I remember, at least. Like
I agree.
I remember having some, but like less than Castle and Central Station. It's similar to those two, honestly. It's similar to Castle, it's similar to Central Station, but in my opinion it's just worse. Cuz I think it feels a lot taller.
There so much more, but it feels better than those two to me. I think it's only because I'm more familiar with it because it's so close to stadium, though.
Yeah.
To be honest. But yeah, you're so like, yeah, this is again on the very edge of the map. I never land here because you land at stadium, obviously. We'll get into that. And it's, yeah, super tall roofs that are really annoying. If you cross that water and you're on the ground, very annoying. The fights inside of Cruise Terminal, on the left side, if you're coming from stadium.
So where it's a lot lower, buildings like half the height. Yeah,
exactly. Those can be pretty good. But not that roof. But the buildings like inside there can be okay. And having fights where like someone's in that building and you're on like the catwalk, walking up to it, or like you're shooting down to the right from that catwalk. Those can be kind of fun too. I don't think it's terrible, but again, it's not great either. And the rooftops are terrible and I don't like them. 'Cause it's like, if someone's on the rooftop, they will annoy you. But if you're on the rooftop, you're not going to get a kill. No one's around. And if they are, you're not going to be able to finish them. Like, you're high up, but I mean, everything is very far. The closest POI to you is stadium. Like, you can't get to stadium from that rooftop, even though it's so tall. It's too far. Like, you can't get to the roof of stadium, I mean, the awnings or whatever. So, like, I don't know. I think it's, again, just another very middling C-tier POI for me. I don't think it's that bad, but I don't think it's, like, good either, basically.
Yeah, see, for me, it feels worse than the others, like I talked about, but yeah, I know it is going D, because I have Castle in D as well, and I actually like this area. I guess less than Castle? I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. It's just, it's so uninteresting. Nothing happens there at all.
We never go there. That's
nobody goes there. Like, yeah, you'd go there to get a chopper, but even then, not many people take the chopper in Resurgence.
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna put it D.
D tier. Okay. Yeah. That's fine.
It sucks.
Yeah. It's yeah. Anyway. Next is Exhibit.
Oh, another POI on the edge of the map.
Oh my goodness. This place sucked. Yeah. It didn't even suck, but there was like no reason to be here. Again, literally on the edge of the map, on the southeast edge. It's like one like big ramp. The building was designed by like Picasso or something. It's like a funky shape. And there's like,
it's an exhibit. Yeah.
I wish I could show the screenshot. It's, the roof of it is like meant to be walked on. So there are like shrubs and trees, and fighting up there sucks. It's just awkward and not very skillful, and there's not enough hard cover. So it's like someone's dying if there's a gunfight up there, which isn't fun. There's like not much outplay potential. There's not enough hard cover. And it's too weirdly shaped or something. And there's no loot here. It's not a big building. There's nothing to do. This is D tier for me. Not that it's terrible, but it just has no redeeming qualities whatsoever. Like literally none. It's not fun to fight there. There's no loot, and there's no reason to hot drop there because no one else is going to land there, and you're going to have to rotate in, and there's no reason to regain there because even though no one's there, there's also no loot there, and you're still going to have to rotate in. So for me, it's a high D. That's where I'm putting it.
I think it's got to be D as well. Not much going on over there at all.
Yeah.
The little inside area is actually pretty cute too, but nothing happens there. If you land there, there will usually be like one other team that you can fight, but it doesn't last very long, and then you're just gone. You leave the area. Not like people are going to be rotating into it. So yeah, I think Exhibit's going D.
Yeah, it's just not very good. So, all right, so now we're getting somewhere. Now we got a POI not on the, well, it is on the edge of the map. It doesn't feel like it should be, but it is on the edge of the map. Oh, no, never mind. It's because I'm thinking of police station. Yeah. The next one is fire station. So let me.
Oh, I thought it was floating district. Here. Yeah.
Fire. Oh, boy. Fire department. Fire station. Oh, this POI sucks. Oh, I hate this POI. Yeah, okay. So this is also on the edge of the map, not here very often, and it has the like the water boats, like the firefighting boats in like the lower section, and you will chase people down here and they will just disappear on you all the time if you happen to be fighting
jump
here.
In that water, yeah.
Yeah, and the inside of this building sucks too. The one thing that is decent about fire department, though, is that rooftop, the rooftops around there are actually pretty fun, and they can be pretty good because they're not very tall, but if people are around you, you can shoot to other rooftops and you can shoot down on people as well. But if you're the one down, it's not too difficult to get into cover and then go contest those people by going up to the roof yourself. Actually not as bad as I initially said, but I really hate that underground area where the water is. But overall, I think this is actually a C tier for me. I think it might be better if it was more central, but it's actually pretty high C for me, actually, the more I think about it. I quite like the inside of the building and the rooftops and the streets around it. Are like pretty fun.
That's kind of where the maze is as well. Yeah, it's in between that and floating district. I consider that fire department though, because you jump off the building of fire and then you go through that little maze.
Yeah.
Which
I actually like.
It's kind of fun to end there. It's a cute little area.
It's actually low B.
Is it? Yeah, I'm thinking it's just C.
The more I think about it.
Yeah, not for me. It's still lower than a lot of these other ones that are going to be slightly higher. So I'm going C.
Okay.
It's a C tier. Now, where does it go in C? It's certainly, I think it's actually the highest in C probably as of now. Yeah. Yeah, we'll do it that way.
Okay. So let's move on. Oh, next is floating district.
Which happens to be the worst multiplayer map we've received in years.
You know, is this worse? So yeah, this is the POI that they made into a sixes map. It is far and away easily the worst POI on Vondel, of course, because it is in the corner of the map, first of all, the southwest. And it's a bunch of houses on like docks. And you can swim under every single building here. And people will do that. So we never go here. I never go here. It's because of all the water. I have died in the water at Floating District by being stabbed probably a dozen times, which is insane. Because you can't shoot your gun. So people will just run Cali sticks or knives and just stab me underwater.
Yep.
While I can't do anything. Really bad and not good. And even if no one did go in the water, it still wouldn't be a good POI. It's a bunch of like little houses with a lot of windows. So it's like not fun to fight in the buildings. you're going to get shot from outside the buildings. If you're outside the buildings yourself, you're going to get shot from inside the buildings. And the only other hardcover is the other little houses that are also just weirdly designed. But again, the main problem is, of course, the water. You can get wet inside of 2 Mississippis, no matter where you are in the entire POI, which is bad, obviously. Yeah. And you can swim not only in water, and you can go anywhere else, because it's not like a waterway where you can get in the water, but you're like stuck in the channel. No, you can swim underneath the walkway and then come up on the next walkway, or underneath 8 walkways and come up at a different building altogether. Terrible POI. Terrible POI. Is it worse than Castle? Is the question. And honestly, it might be.
Yeah, I know it might be. That was kind of my thought as to just changing Castle to F, because Floating District is really, really, really bad.
It's worse, yeah. Because at least Castle has that, again, northeastern castle complex, and those buildings are not bad. Yeah, the Floating District, no redeeming qualities.
All of it's bad.
All of it's bad, yeah. So it is.
Most of my memories on Floating District are dying to a precision airstrike that I didn't get a notification for when I was in the water, like under a building. That was always my favorite, just dying to a no EPA. So what did you change yours to?
Stabbed. I changed that category to Suki Castle & Floating District.
Okay. I'm just gonna remove my Suki Castle and just do F. So then it's just then it's easier to kind of view too on stream and the image. So S, A, B, C, D, F. And so in F tier right now, if you're listening, I have Shipwreck, Floating District, and Castle.
Yeah. Yeah, Floating District is actually worse than Castle. So yeah. Those are those still get their own category though. They're worse than F tier for me.
Yeah.
So anyway, terrible, miserable POI. Next is Graveyard. Okay. So
now we're getting somewhere.
Graveyard, we're getting somewhere. Not the best POI, but not bad. The thing about Graveyard is you are not going to get third-partied from a rooftop if you're on Graveyard, if you're at Graveyard. And that is kind of a unique scenario on Vondel. Because in most places on Vondel, you're liable to be shot from someone on a rooftop. That's how the map is designed. That's how most of the areas are. If you are on 80% of the map and you're not in a building, there is a rooftop that has line of sight on you 80% of the time. Not so at Graveyard, which makes it kind of interesting. It's like it feels a lot different than every other POI on this map. I would say this is the second most unique POI on Vondel. Castle being the first, Graveyard being the second. It's pretty flat. It's not got that many buildings, and the buildings are not that tall. The whole map is flat, to be fair, but it's just the lack of buildings that makes it different. And then there's also the buy station there. I think this is a fun POI. Not too much going on, but what is going on is good. I kind of enjoy it for the same reasons we were talking about enjoying farms, actually.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's just kind of simple, brain dead, gunfights, good visibility. Don't have to think too much. Not too much crazy, intricate things going on.
It's easier to break sight lines.
Call of Duty. Yeah,
it's easier to break sight lines on Graveyard and kind of do a little outplay or two, you know, by getting behind all the grave markers and all that, all the big little all the concrete structures and whatnot that they have there. You know, you have time to plate up while peeking for somebody, waiting for them to push you. You peek the other side of it. A lot of interesting little basic fights there, I would say. Yeah, Graveyard's always a fun area.
Yeah.
Graveyard for me.
B.
Yeah, I'm going B.
Yeah. High B for me.
Graveyard's pretty good.
I do like farms better, but not much better. So yeah, Graveyard's high B for me. So next is Mall. I have mixed feelings about Mall. Sometimes I really like it. Sometimes I really don't. We're starting to get into the middle of the map, so mall is actually in play and relevant a lot more often. And we're also starting to get to POIs where you can get pushed from 360 degrees rather than just 180 because you're on the edge of the map. Mall, that's not so. There are POIs all around you, so you can get pushed from anywhere, and you will. And mall is interesting because it is like enclosed, but the second story of the mall has no roof. It's like an outdoor thing going on. And it's pretty fun to fight there, actually. I mostly enjoy the gunfights at mall. It takes some getting used to, though. I do very distinctly remember not liking this POI right away, and I needed to like get familiar with it first. But once I did, actually pretty fun. And I like the buy station there as well. It's fairly safe, but you can still get pushed. And yeah, there's just a lot of different. You can fight anywhere at mall. You'll fight anywhere at mall, I should say, because there are certain POIs where if you're in a gunfight with someone, they're 90% of the time coming from here. You know what I mean? Whereas with mall, it's like not really that way. That people kind of can and will come from everywhere, so you get a lot of variety there as well. And I think the gunfights are pretty solid. I think this is actually, for reasons I can't explain very well, I think this is a B tier POI for me as well. I enjoy mall.
Interesting. Yeah, that's a little high for my taste. I think one thing with mall is there will be a lot of fights going on there at one time, but not a lot of third partying in general, because the way it's designed and spread out, there will be people fighting each other on the roof. There will be people fighting each other kind of outside on the ground. There will be people in the little shops on the second floor fighting each other. And then there will be people in the little shops on the first floor fighting each other. So you kind of all have your own little areas where you're able to fight without just constantly being third party. Obviously, you do get third party, but that's the way it feels off rip for me. It's a lot of like actual one-on-one fights kind of. So
yeah.
I've never loved it, though. I think it's a typical C tier POI. It's going right in C. Is it better than City Hall? Yes. Is it better than Central Station? Yes. It's it's actually probably the highest C tier right now.
Okay. Yeah. 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 Okay. Okay. So next we have Marquette. This is a good POI. I don't know if I like it. It's so you're always at Market. I feel like every game of Vondel, I will be at Market or I will be passing through Market every time. Usually I'm passing through Market. I don't love, we never land Market. No. That's never the play. It's the reason it is so hot is not because the loot is good or because it's even a large POI. It's like one building that's actually kind of small and then a bunch of fruit stands around it and a buy station. But the reason it gets a ton of action is because I feel like you always have to rotate through Market. It's like the nexus point. It's like everything meets at Market. So if you're, no matter where you're rotating, it feels like you have to go through Market. And so it gets a lot of action, and most of the time it feels like it is rotational fights rather than heads up gunfights there.
Yeah.
But they're fun.
It's a sweaty ass area.
It's super sweaty. Yeah. And it's the way the building is designed, the rooftops are like pretty strong, but you usually, because the rooftops around Market, the other buildings are equally tall, if not taller, and fairly close. Usually what you'll do is if you need to rotate through Market, you'll get on one of those rooftops and then jump off and go onto, like, directly into the Market building.
Yeah, like the window.
Yeah, or directly past it as far as you can, and then like smoke and go or something.
Yeah.
And then if you do need to fight inside the building, it's actually pretty fun, and it's not as difficult to push as you might think. It can be, but usually people are like preoccupied on the roof looking out. So if you're able to sneak inside, they don't have line of sight on you because you need to go upstairs and then up a ladder to get to the roof. So they won't have line of sight on you unless they're camping second or first story. But that usually just doesn't happen. So rotating into that building is actually like safe pretty often, or at least not like a death sentence. It's not like trying to run into castle where someone's for sure camping you. So I like market a lot. I think this is a high B as well.
Yeah.
But it feels like a POI you're never fighting at. You're like fighting past it. You're like, well, you're fighting there, but it's like in transition.
Yeah.
But I like that. It's like chaotic, but it's not too chaotic. I like market.
That actual building is extremely chaotic, yeah. The issue with it is if you are at market, you're getting shot from every angle constantly.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're not having your own gunfights ever. And then rotating out of it, you can't. You just die. You better hope you have like 12 smoke grenades. You're just not rotating out of it. That's the issue. But when you're there and you're fighting and you're having those little fun, sweaty fights, it's fun. Yeah, it is fun. This one is hard for me to rank because it's such a terrible placement. If market was like, if it was flat around it, market would be basically an S tier POI. But because it's surrounded by rooftops and everybody's looking at you constantly, it makes it not a good area to be on the map if you want to do well and win. So it's really hard.
There if you're holding someone because it's on the edge, or you have to run through it. Yeah, I agree with you. You're never just like there.
I'm trying to figure out where to put it. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm putting it B tier still, though, all that said. Because it is very fun to fight there when you do.
Yeah. I have good memories of market. I have good memories. Yeah.
Here's one I don't have good memories of.
Like you said, yeah, it would be a really strong roof, but it's not because everyone else has a roof around you too, and they're always shooting at you.
Oh yeah, and it's way taller. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're taller. Excuse me. Yeah. So, anyway, moving on. Next, we got museum.
Terrible.
Not good. Yeah.
Useless building. A waste of a building.
Not good, and
there's like hardly a ground floor, and then there's nothing, and then there's kind of a roof where you can't actually see out from like anywhere. Museum sucks, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Museum sucks. In
fact, it's D tier, and I'm throwing it in there right now.
And you know what? Because we're stadium enjoyers, we always have to deal with the cringe kids that will land on the rooftop and get a sniper and then not kill you for the whole start of the match. So they'll just like break your plates, and it's like, okay, stop. I hate museum kids a lot.
Yeah, that's not
museum sucks.
That's not museum, the area you're talking about. That also should have been on the list because it's also on this map. It's not
closest to museum,
it's not a named POI, but it's entirely different. That's Kunstanar District.
Oh, is that named in game?
That's the thing, is there are unmarked POIs on this map in our notes, if that's the one you're looking at. And that's Kunstanar District, but so they named it outside of the map. But inside the game, it's not a named POI. But that's between stadium and museum. That area is okay, fun to fight on those little roofs and whatnot. But museum by itself sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, museum's not good. Yeah, I agree with you. It's just D tier. The building itself is, it's terrible. It's
such a bad building, yeah.
It's like really big, but it's also like there's nothing inside it. It's just like a big.
That's what I'm saying. There's like not even really a first floor. I don't get it.
Like it's just awkward.
And then the roof is awkward too.
Yeah, the roof is also weird.
It's a dumb building.
It's D tier. Yeah, it's D tier. Is it worse than Exhibit
Yeah, I think
or
so.
better than Exhibit?
Exhibit's more
It's
just
actually better than
uninteresting for
Exhibit
me.
just because it's more central, but that's the only reason. Because there's like yeah, I don't know. It's pretty shit though. So anyways, next is a good POI in my opinion, Police Station. Wow. So this is very central. I actually really enjoy the gunfights on the bottom of Police Station.
Yeah, another sweaty little area.
Kind of bonkers. Yeah, they go kind of bonkers.
Got that nice little ammo refill inside that's real safe. You can keep hitting that.
Yeah.
The roof is kind of fun to fight on as well. There's the gas station right next to it, which is part of the police station POI. That's a cute little area. It has
the interior zip and the exterior zip. Yeah, I like Police Station. Mainly, I like fighting on the ground floor and the surrounding area because you also have that like random wall that's like protecting you from parts of it if you go outside. Not the street side, but one of the other areas. So it's like a little enclosed spot, and it's not like super safe there, but it's safer than a lot of areas on the ground in Vondel because you have a wall next to you, and your loadout will drop there a lot. That's why I'm like thinking of this area, because if you happen to be in this area when your loadie drops, it'll usually drop inside that wall. And there have been many times where 8 loadouts are there and it's just a nightmare. And then there's just ground loot everywhere, perk packages everywhere, plus the ammo refill. Pretty chaotic, but pretty fun. I like Police Station. I think it's a B though. I don't think it's quite an A, but I think it is a B. I think it's a high B. I think it's the highest B.
I agree. Police for me is B tier. It's not the highest, though. In fact, maybe the lowest of B tier. Because it can be fun when you're fighting around there, but also it can be extremely toxic. So when the loadouts land at Police Station, which happens often, it becomes terrible. Because those loadouts are always contested. That's one of the spots where you are not getting your free loadout drop. Or you have it for 10 seconds, you rack your gun, and then you run inside and there's a full team in there waiting for you, or they're already shooting at you as you're grabbing it. That's when it becomes really, really bad.
Yeah.
But it can be really fun at times when you get those good fights. So yeah, it'll be a low B for me.
Yeah. So next is the Souvenirs District. This is unmarked, but in their official blog post about Vondel, they name it and talk about it. And they say it's called Souvenirs District, unmarked in parentheses in their little blog post. So this is why it was included. Now I'm looking at pictures of it. Is this the area that's just like north of Stadium?
No, this is the area that's north of Market, which is similar. So that's the other thing. I also wish the area north of Stadium was in here, in between Stadium and Market, because that's the one where we are at all the time now that I look at it. That one is unnamed and called Courtyard. But that is not on the list here. So that is Souvenirs District is above Market. Very similar, the same type of buildings, basically.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Really hot area. Maybe the hottest area on the map.
I'm bundling those two locations, by the way. So the
Let's do
little
that.
plot of land south of Market and north of Market, because you're right. Those are all the same kind of thing. It's a bunch of like tall buildings with interior and exterior roof access, and all the roofs are the same height, and you can jump from rooftop to rooftop really easily.
Yeah, and you get in those fun fights.
Those gunfights are super fun, and this is the bread and also the butter of Vondel. If you're playing Vondel, this is what you think of.
You're fighting on these roofs, yes.
Yes. This is where the action happens for 90% of your game is going to be on a roof here, fighting someone else on a roof here also. And that's what makes Vondel. So if you don't like this POI, you don't like this map. And if you do, then you do like this map, which is why I would say it takes some getting used to be clear, but super fun. I mean, You have so usually it's like I'm on a rooftop and then the other guy is on another rooftop close enough to me to where I can get good shots on him and I can go thirst him reliably if I down him, unless his teammates are covering for him, but far enough to where if you want to play cautiously, you can avoid just dying right away. Unlike if you're at Graveyard, for example, or Exhibit Roof. Exhibit Roof, if you get in a team fight, good luck. There's a team wipe happening now. Whereas on Souvenirs District, rooftop to rooftop fight, not necessarily true. It's going to take a little more finesse, a little more skill, and there are a lot of things you can do. If you want to play slow, you can pretty safely run away or get away. If you want to play super aggro, you can do that too. They're close enough. But again, there's a lot of hardcover opportunities if you want to take them. It's really fun to fight in these areas. You can, yeah, this is A tier. It's just A tier. That's it.
Yeah.
And then also, this is where also Captain Jack, goated with the cum.
Yeah.
Got his resurgence. What was excuse me, I'm sorry. This is where Captain Jack got a promotion to Admiral. Admiral Jack. Because he was going broadside with the KV broadside shotgun. This is where all the action happens with the shotgun too. Because this is where all of the claustrophobic, narrow AoE damage, tiny little staircases were. The interior staircases of every building in Souvenir District, that's where all the hipfire magic happened as well. And that was really fun. And all of those rooms that are on top of the building right before you come out to the roof and directly below that room, that like small room where there would be weapon lockers and stuff, a lot of fun gunfights happening here too. Great POI. Is it S tier? No, but it is high.
It's close to it, but it's A for me as well. Yeah. This is, you described it perfectly. This is like the Vondel experience. Yeah. Those rooftops, that's what you get when you play Vondel. That's what you think of. Getting a down, jumping between those rooftops, finishing a guy. Yep. You got all those spiral staircases.
You gotta think about it. It's like,
you have the other
this to get the thirst?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You have the spiral staircases. You have the other buildings with a regular staircase where it's got like that upper floor. Then you go up into essentially an attic, and that leads out onto the roof. You got zips on some of these buildings. Yep. There's a lot going on there, and it's very fun to fight. So it's going A for me. Just below Farms, but better than Beach Club, aka Market on Ashika.
Interesting. Yeah. This is better than Farms and Apartments for me.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Because also,
I think it's better than Farms.
Besides the rooftop to rooftop fighting, yeah, I think so. There's also ample opportunity to shoot people on the street outside of the square.
Oh yeah, there sure is.
One of those corner buildings.
Those are the roofs you get camped from. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, right. Yeah. So, that's another like fun little opportunity. So yeah, I really like Souvenirs District. And I guess we've saved the best for close to last. Stadium. This is Stormtrooper tier. I mean, it's not even S tier, it's double S tier.
Oh,
this is just fantastic.
The SS, huh?
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know what the German word is, but it translates Stormtrooper, I think. Anyways, yeah, Stadium is great. It's a great POI. It takes some getting used to as well, but this is, once we figured it out, we've figured out this is the best drop spot, and we literally, since then, at least me, never stopped landing here again. We figured out the loot goes absolutely crazy here, which it does. And then once we did, there was never a reason to land anywhere else, at least for me. It's not super central, but you're not on the edge of the map. And also very easy to rotate out of Stadium. Cruise Terminal is too far away to do anything to you. You can and do get harassed from the museum kids or the buildings between museum and stadium. That's the only harassment you're getting from any other POI. Again, going north to the souvenir district or the unofficial souvenir district, that's where you'd always rotate to. But that was usually a little too far to get harassed from also, although occasionally you would. But they were usually too busy fighting each other over there across the water. So that really wasn't usually a concern. And then zoo, again, too far away. Weren't getting harassed from there either. So really what would happen is you would land stadium. Almost always, literally always, I would say, at least one other team is landing here. It's a big POI. You have a football field or whatever, and there's not much cover, but there's some, and a ton of loot. And then you also have the two sides. So if you go south, you have less loot, but there are rooms there, and there is loot there. And then you also have the seats, like the bleachers or whatever. And then you can like dive into like a box or something, loot all around there. So like being in the middle of the stadium's pretty risky, but it's not like a complete death sentence because you can get shot from the awnings on either side, north or south, but they're pretty high up there. And if it's early game, they have ground loot. If you're not getting harassed on the ground and by the awning, you're probably okay. If you're getting harassed by both, you're probably dead.
You can shoot through that awning too from below, which is the good thing as well.
And you can shoot through that awning and you can see their shadows through it too. So there's also a lot of fun wallbang activities that can happen there. Yeah. And then if you go into the buildings on the north side, and also, by the way, on the east and west, there are more seats and more loot there as well, and more hardcover. You're kind of in a dome enclosed from even the outside roads, let alone POIs, if you're on the ground level of stadium. So you really never get harassed if you're inside stadium buildings or you're on the ground in stadium. You only get harassed if you're on the rooftops or the awnings. And even then, again, like I was saying earlier, pretty rare. So it's kind of you're in your own map when you land here. And you only have to think about and deal with whoever else is at the POI with you. And then if you go into the buildings on the north side of stadium, that's where like the entrance is. So that's where like I don't know, you walk through the metal detector, you give the guy your tickets, and then you buy popcorn or whatever. This is like the main lobby area. Way more loot, more open. There's the bathrooms, there's the locker rooms. Fun gunfights to be had on the ground there. Fun gunfights to be had on the second story there, up those escalators. And then very fun gunfights to be had on the roof, shooting onto the awning or being on the awning, shooting to the other awning, or shooting from the awning into the stadium itself or into the bleachers. Great fights there, great loot. And there's a buy station that is super safe because once you land stadium, again, you're going to be with another team. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to kill them or something, or not. But if you do, then you're alone here now. And so that buy station is incredibly free because it's in the stadium. So you could take your sweet time, drop your money, buy your loadout, and you're gone.
Yeah.
Perfect POI. Super fun.
Yeah.
Fighting everywhere here is fun.
I mean, landing mid on stadium is like the best because there are those 4 chests there. Sometimes 3 of those will be personal supply boxes. Technically, it can be up to 4 actually because it's the rare or the personal supply boxes. Really fun. So much loot. I just like it because you know you can land and pretty much get your guns or really good guns right away. Because again, if it's not the personal boxes, there are 4 rare chests at mid, so you're going to get streaks. Sometimes you'll get a better gun. There are a lot of plates scattered around the little the stadium grounds there as well. And it's just, it does kind of feel like you're in your own map. You're in your own little world when you're playing there. You know, somewhere like Market. You're fighting there, and it's fun when you're inside the building, but then you go out of Market, you're not in your own little world. Every single person is looking at you, and every single person is shooting at you. But Stadium does not generally feel that way. So it's a hot drop location. It has like those farms type fights at mid where it's all even ground, just a lot of cover, a little outplay potential going around the little paintball inflatables that they have set up. And then, then you rotate through the buildings like you was saying, and then you get on the roof and you can jump and fly out, and then you go from roof straight to what we're calling Souvenirs District, but it's actually, just north of Stadium. It's called Courtyard, technically. Go to that area, start fighting all those rooftops. It's just a great little start, really fun area, because the area around Stadium is good too. Because again, you have Zoo next to it, then you go north, and then you're into Police Station, Market, Courtyard, Souvenirs District, which is the direct middle of the map where all the fighting is going on. So you're pushing those people when you already have a loadout. When they've all landed there, they've all hot dropped on the roofs and they don't have a loadout. They haven't even been to a buy station. They're all still fighting each other on the roofs, and then you swoop in fully geared, ready to go, and then you just start wiping people. So Stadium is awesome. It's such a fun place.
Yep. S tier.
I just love the little style of it too, how it's like how it's transformed to a little paintball arena. What would you call that? Arena at mid. I like cute little things like that, which is one of the big reasons I didn't overall like Ashika as a map, because it's ugly, it's boring looking, it's just dull. And then Vondel has things like this where we have a paintball field in the middle of a state. It's just cute little aesthetics like that really make everything feel a lot better, in my opinion. So yeah, Stadium is S tier.
Yeah, it's absolutely S tier. It's my first S tier. Yeah, it's just great. The best part of it, again, I think, is that you really only have to worry about anyone else at that POI. You don't. If you get third partied, it's because someone else pushed you. You're not getting like sniped at or like chipped at or harassed. You don't get harassed really ever. You either get third party hard pushed, in which case that can happen anywhere at any time, or you're just, you get to focus on like one team at a time. And even if it is 3 teams, you can like, usually, I don't know, there are so many different places you can be that you can kind of manage no matter what. I just really like it. So, all right, next, University.
Really
sucks.
Really shit. Such a bad building, dude.
I will say I do like, if this is, let me pull this up to make sure this is what I'm thinking of.
The parking structure.
The parking structure I like.
That little roof in that area is good. Everything else about it sucks.
But the building itself is terrible. Yeah. So the spiral stair, or the spiral drive up thing to the roof.
Yeah.
That parking structure, not the parking structure itself, because you can run under the spiral drive up thing and keep going in. Terrible, awful, dark, bad. And then it takes you into the university building, all of which sucks a lot. It's really bad. It's extremely open, windows everywhere. And if someone's above you, good luck. You are dead. There's no outplay potential. There's nothing you can do. But the spiral drive up, actually really fun to be there, push up there, hold people from up there, whether you're on the roof or even on part of the spiral, because there's also like the rappel if you wanted to get froggy, or you could just walk up it. And that's actually like kind of fun. And if you're on that roof also, you have a lot of good shooting down and shooting out potential. And that's one of the places where you can really reliably get thirsts on this roof. Whereas a lot of Vondel roofs, pretty hard to get the thirst because the people you're shooting at have access to a lot of hard cover, or they're also on roofs. But on that corner of University roof, if you're shooting out from there, there's like water, and then there's like a bus stop that gives you some hard cover, and like maybe a car, and then it's road. So like you can get thirsts there all the time, I feel like. So that makes it really good, and it's actually pretty fun to fight there. And again, if there's another team on that roof, or you're on the roof and another team pushes up, in either scenario, those are more fair gunfights than you think, and they're pretty fun, actually. But that is the only good part of this POI, that corner. Everywhere else at University sucks a lot and is really bad and not fun.
Yeah.
I think the majority of the rooftop is okay. Because there are times I remember being on like the east side roof, which is shorter than the top of the parking structure I was talking about. You're still above, you're still on the roof. So like you have to worry about that part, the parking structure part I was just talking about. But besides that, when you shoot down from there, you can get really good thirsts here really reliably too. So the roof is fun. The spiral drive up is fun. The building itself is miserable. It's really bad. So
yeah,
I think this is a C, not because it's mid, but it's a C for me because it's a very mixed bag. There's like a good part of it, and then there's like a really terrible part of it.
The good part of it is so minor, but yeah.
The thing it's I don't know, because if I'm forced to go University, I feel like I can always get to that roof.
That's true. A lot of it is on the roof. Yeah. I mean, the inside of University is, again, it's like castle level bad, the layout and everything. Suki Castle.
It is really, it's very
but the
different,
roof,
but it's equally bad.
That's true.
Yeah.
The roof is good. The little area just outside University is good. Like a little, like the market out back, basically, whatever that is. And then there's that other little building that's much lower and also has a roof. And that building must be, I don't know, I feel like there's like a bookstore in there. Something like that. That building's not bad. Because originally I'm thinking University is for sure a D tier. But you're right. Like the inside's so bad, but the other areas are pretty decent, actually.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe it's a C.
Yeah, for me it's a C. It's just such a mixed bag. It's a very weird POI. Where in C does the boy put it, though? That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah, that is always the question.
Is it better than Castle? Actually, yes.
Yes.
Is it better? It's also better than City Hall. It's not better than Beach Club, though.
No.
So, yeah, that's where it goes. So, yeah. And then we have one more POI, which I'm curious to get your thoughts on. I'm curious to get my own thoughts on it. And that is Zoo. Zoo was our first, I'll speak for myself. This was my first, like, enjoyable POI. This was the first POI I ever, I think this was like the first place we landed. And it was the first place I became familiar and fond with. Familiar with and fond of, I should say. It's pretty unique as well in terms of Vondel. Because again, a lot of the Vondel experience is the Souvenir District experience. A ton of buildings, very close together, that are flat roofs, equal height. Zoo is not that at all. There's a lot going on at Zoo. There is the building, which is like pretty uniquely designed. It's fairly open on the bottom, but it's not too open like museum. And then the second story is like barely a second story because it's really just a way to like get to the outside rooftop area. And then the rooftop area has also like 2 levels. So there's like I want to say short roof, but it's got more surface area than the taller part. But then you can get to the taller part. And then around that building is open space, but there are also like, I guess, low ground, like valleys. The valley is too big of a word, but like you can go down an elevation because there are like walkways you can jump like off of. But then there's also like a bunch of flat areas. And then there are trees and like little buildings and like little outdoor restrooms. And then there's the other building that's closer to, what is that closer to? Like going toward fire department. There's that building as well, which is like kind of interesting.
That's you get a lot of fights in that one.
Yeah, which is pretty hot because I feel like you have to rotate through that a lot. I think that's why. So overall, Zoo is a very unique POI as well. I think it is the third most unique, probably, behind Castle and Graveyard. Might be more unique than Graveyard, actually. But,
yeah, I feel like if anything, Stadium feels unique on Vondel. I would think that's kind of up
Stadium
there.
is too. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
I would say
Zoo's definitely
those four
unique.
are like the standouts. Yeah, but Zoo is like very unique, and it's not unique like Castle, because Castle's unique because it doesn't have buildings. Zoo is unique not because it doesn't have buildings, because it does, but it's because the buildings are just way different than every other building on Vondel. They're like, there's like domes, and then there's like a normal building, and then there's a tiny building. I like it though. I think Zoo is fun. I think you can hot drop here. Totally viable.
For sure.
But also if you're fighting here mid game or late game, it's equally fun and relatively fair as well. So the gunfights early game, mid game, or late game at Zoo are all equally high quality. So plus it's fairly central, so you can land here. Rotating into zone from here is fine as well. And yeah, that makes it an A tier POI for me.
Yeah, that's right.
At every stage of the game, it's good. At every stage of the game, it has utility. And at every stage of the game, the gunfights are fun and they're interesting and unique because of the layout of it being so different, but not bad. So I like this POI.
Yeah, I like the end games at Zoo. I feel like it's a cute little area because it's kind of, even like the flatter area, since it's a zoo, it's like there is a lower area where the animals would be. So then you can kind of get in cover behind that if you need to. And then there are like the walkways, which are a little bit higher up where people are walking. Then yeah, those outside little buildings on the edge, those are really fun to, you know, have those little roof fights on, rotate out of, have to rotate in. Like right on the edge outside of Zoo, there are like buses and a lot of vehicles that provide good cover rotating in as well. I don't know. I like the late games here. I've always thought it was a fun area. And of course, yeah, the aesthetic of all of it. It's very unique. It's interesting having a zoo setting. It's just kind of weird because like the main building is probably my least favorite part of the POI. It's just the grounds and everything around it, to me, is what makes it interesting and fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that. And you would think there's more activity at that main building, but actually there isn't. Usually, if you hot drop Zoo, that's where everyone goes. But after the very early game, I feel like people aren't actually there that often. They're usually, on the periphery in one of the smaller buildings usually. That's kind of what it feels like to me. And those gunfights are fun. And even the gunfights at the building, I think, are fun. I think the worst gunfights at Zoo are inside on like first level or second level of the main building. I think those are actually the worst gunfights at Zoo. And even those aren't that bad. But like fighting on that rooftop or from that rooftop to the ground or vice versa, I think those are pretty good too. And not super oppressive because it's not that tall of a roof and you have a lot of cover most of the time if you're getting shot from there. So, I think it's a good POI. It's a high A for me. Right under Souvenirs District is where I put it. So. Yeah,
I'm putting mine. I still like Farms more than Zoo, and I still, do I like Beach Club more with Market? No, I don't think I do. I'll put it under Farms.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, boys and girls, that wraps it up for part 1 of our Resurgence POI tier list. Let us know your thoughts. We will post this tier list either when someone asks us to in Discord or when we finish part 2, so we can just post the full tier list. I'm not opposed to posting both, but if you want me to, remind me, and I'll do that. It'll be in Discord. It'll be in the Warzone general chat. I'll pin it. If you guys want to see that, but let me know if you do. Those are our rankings. We hope you enjoyed. Let us know your thoughts. And if you want to do the tier list yourself, I will attempt to remember to give you the link in the show notes or video description. If it's not there, do a YouTube comment or tell me in Discord, and then I'll edit it in so you can make your own tier list and then post your pictures if you want. In fact, you know what I'll do right now is I will post this in Warzone General in our Discord. So even if I forget to put it in the YouTube description, you can at least find it there. Go to the pinned messages in the Warzone General chat of our Discord. So that is it. Hope you enjoyed. We will be back on Thursday for Season 5 First Impressions. We'll go over the patch notes, but by now you will have already heard us going through the blog post. So the patch notes is not going to be much more new information outside of what we've already covered by now for the blog post, probably. So what we'll do in our next episode is we will start with the patch notes that are relevant. So information that we haven't already talked about on Thursday, we will go over, but that's not going to take very long. So we'll start there. Then we'll get into our first impressions of the new season. We're getting Superstore. We just learned that today at the time of recording this. So that'll be interesting. We'll have more to say. We will have already said more on that on Thursday, but, and then we'll see what else we can expect for Season 5, and we'll give you guys the rundown on that. And then if you wanted to shoot me in game or Tanner, you can do that this month on the 25th at 5 p.m. Pacific time. If you're a patron,
You can do that.
if you're not a patron, don't worry about it. It's easy. Become one before then. And then you could join and you could shoot us in game. It's going to be fun. All of our patrons are invited. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully, we will see you there. Thank you for watching and listening. Stay humble.
Stay humble.